All right, Yvonne, you're up.
Okay, so Eve is going to talk about time. I'm trying to pull her in now. She hasn't told me a whole lot about what she's going to say, except for I know one big thing. Oh, okay. Yes, we are here. Yes, there is one big thing that we wish to begin with, and that is that you create time. You create it individually. You see, there is not some external objective measure that is called time that exists outside of yourself. Now, we understand that many of you realize that you can mentally manipulate time in that you may have an event that occurs and you think, oh God, this is taking forever, ever, and ever. And at the same time, to another person, that event may seem very quickly. It may seem to have passed very quickly because your sense of duration is based solely inside yourself. It is subjective. You see, your sense of duration will come from emotional aspects. It comes from what your desire for that particular event may be, what you wish to get out of it, to learn or to pass on, etc. And additionally, while you do have a chemical and electromagnetic things going on in your brain that can, in this particular physical reality, affect your perceptions of time, those things are basically irrelevant. Uh, as in all things, there is always more than one reason for any particular event or perception. But always those reasons come together as you, the creator. We understand that it can be difficult for you to think of yourself as creating every specific event that happens to you or that you experience. But we tell you, you do. And it is time, really past time, that humanity begins to understand these things at a deeper level and to live their day to day lives with that in mind. Now, when we think about time, when you think about time, you think of things like uh, eras of time, of all the middle ages or whatever, or you think of the future, you think of the past, but only the present exists. And if you understand that fully, then you understand there can be no such thing as time in the way that you objectify it. Now, somewhere along the line, all of you agreed, all of humanity agreed to experience duration in a certain way. And in different cultures or in different periods, and we wish you to understand that whenever we use the word time, you need to think of it as being in quotes. You see, um, because time is not linear, then you see that it cannot be objective. It cannot be something that is outside of yourself. Now, you may say, oh, but we can prove to you that time exists outside of us. We have mathematics that prove it. We have experiments that prove it. But you see, you're not taking it deep enough because you also create those experiments. You create the results of those experiments. Um, you create those events. This is the great gift that you have been given by all that is, that you, like all that is, you are a creator. Now, we have spoken about this before, but we understand that many of you take that simply to mean, for example, here is an event and I can create peace from it, or I can create chaos. I can, in this event, decide to move forward, to move backwards, to move sideways, whatever. But we say to you that that choice has already been made. You see, um, all of these possibilities will happen. in one probable reality or another, but you will be creating them. Now, when you look at time in terms of an infinity, wait, let us back up a moment. Let us talk about time after you have passed, after you have transitioned, you see, and time will seem very different to you then. Again, it shows you that it is not objective. And you can see this in your dream state or in states of meditation, where time has no meaning. There is no objective time. You can flip from one period of time to another, from one event to another. You may have several even of yourselves in a particular dream. So you can see the flexibility, the great flexibility of time. And where would this come from? It would not come objectively. It would come only from yourself. Now, when you pass, these events that you will experience will be individual to you. You see, there have been many things written about, there are 7 levels you must pass through after you transition. You must go here, you must go there, whatever. There's going to go to purgatory or hell or heaven or whatever. And these things are written down by philosophers and different scientists and whatever, who say, we can measure when the soul leaves the body. We can tell when that is by measurements of wave or electromagnetic frequencies or whatever. But you see, again, these things are created by you. They are not objective. They are not objective realities. And this is the basic, huge message that we wish to get across to you, because so many of you are steeped in, shall we say, educational fallacies. You see, you read and you read and you read and you write and you experiment and you go to different places and people and you say, aha, this person understands and has given me this understanding, and now I must take it within myself and accept it. And indeed, we are doing the same thing. We are telling you something that you may or may not take into yourself and accept, but we tell you you should understand and take into yourself what we tell you today, because this will assist you in your creations. Additionally, there are those who say, well, in time, we will all be benevolent. In time, we will work out all of our problems. And again, that is setting time as objective outside of yourself, that you will take this certain length of duration and accomplish what you consider to be positive goals, or the goals of the universe, or the goals of the human race. And we tell you, no, this is not the case. This is not true. You see, good and bad, benevolent and evil, whatever, these are concepts, just as time is a concept. These are constructs that you make for your personal desires. All that is never sits back and says, we wish only for good to happen. And so throughout eternity, as the human race evolves, it will become better and better, and there will be more good and less bad, because good and bad is not something that is defined by anything other than yourself. You see, you decide what is good. You decide what is bad. You decide whether a specific duration is perceived as short or long, or however you perceive it. And you not only do this personally, but you do it with all of the yous that there are. We spoke to you whenever a while back and told you that when you meet someone, you are meeting all of yourselves. You're not meeting just that one person at that one specific time. And this, you see, is also true of creation. When you create, you don't create in a vacuum, so to speak. You don't create just from the you that you are now familiar with. All of the yous are creating together. Now, we have, I believe, mentioned before, and we will bring this up again. Imagine you are in a fun house and you go to the Hall of Mirrors and you see yourself in a mirror, and then through infinity, there are more and more and more of you. You see this one self, and then you see one in the mirror next to him, and one in the mirror next to him, and one, and it goes on infinitely. Now, in reality, for lack of a better word, you see, each of those other selves are also creating other selves, you see. So you start running into um, perhaps even trillions, but there are so many yous, and you are all communicating with each other in ways that are foreign to you now, meaning they are so difficult for you to understand. When you consider the vastness of creation, the vastness of reality, the numbers approach infinity, beyond infinity, if that is a concept you can accept. And so when you are talking about time, you have to say, where does this objective time come from? Well, it comes from all of those views, all of them. In addition to this, you have animals who operate in time as well. And this can give you some clues as to your perception of time. Take, for example, there is a tortoise of some sort. This one thinks it is the Galapagos tortoise that can live easily 150 years, you see. And then there is a fly whose life cycle is only 1 day of your time, 1 day. And we say to you that these are the same. They do not seem the same to you, but they are the same because they are all that that particular life needs. So you have, when we say you have all the time in the world, we mean you have all the time that you need because you are creating time yourself. You are creating it. So you have all of the time that you need, all of the time that you want. When a child is born and it lives only a few days and you think, oh, what a tragedy. No, that is all the time that child needed to accomplish whatever its goals were, whatever its desires were, whatever it wanted to experience. And this is true of you also. So we wish you to try not to put time in a box, not to put limits on time, not to say, oh, I only have so much time, I must hurry to do this or hurry to do that. No, you have all of the time that you need because you are creating it. And this is the main message we wish to get across to you today, that time, we say it again and again, time is not linear, time is not objective, it is not apart from you. You are creating it. Now, we could go on, but we believe there will probably be many questions. So we would like to stop here and open ourselves up to any queries that you may have.
I have a query, of course.
Yes.
So I've been trying to do this topic for quite some time, but living in it and explaining it has been difficult. And so I came across this concept of a loop in time, where there's regular time as no time or whatever it is. And I guess we created this loop in time so that we could experiment with, I created this, I destroyed this, I created this so that we can learn that we are creators. Concept sound familiar?
We have heard of this concept, yes, but it is not familiar to us in the sense of having lived it or experienced it. Again, this is someone's construct. This is the way certain people find it easier to understand time. But objectively, there is no such thing as a loop in time because, again, when you are speaking of loops, you were speaking of duration. You understand? And if you're trying to get to the purity of the concept of time, not just how you may live in time yourself, then there can be no loop.
Okay. And so are we saying that? Oh, so another question is time, non-existent time, different for different cultures and different off-planet civilizations,
Yes,
or
absolutely it is. Yes,
okay.
just as it is different for those of you on this planet. Time is not experienced in the same way by animals, humans, bugs, whatever, stars, trees, buildings, not experienced the same. And since it is not experienced the same, it is not the same. It is not the same. You understand? They are creating it in their way. You are creating it in your way. But objectively, it's non existent. It is only a concept.
Mhm.
All things exist first in concept. Yes, you agree? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So all things exist first in concept. Now, from that concept, can explode, if you will, an infinite number of ways of experiencing it. Um, so any one concept may manifest itself in an infinite number of ways. And your perception of these ways will vary depending upon your culture, what type of physical or non physical being you may be at any point. So, again, you yourself are a concept. You understand that?
Yes.
Yes, you are a concept, and you physicalize this concept for your own reasons, your own desires to have these experiences. But you yourself do not exist outside of your perception of yourself. We understand these are difficult concepts to
Mhm.
understand.
Mhm.
We also wish to tell you that it is not necessary to understand all of this in this lifetime. You see, you have eternity to learn and grow and experience. Uh, some of you are so, now we're not saying specifically some of you in this room at this time, but some of you, as in humanity, are so obsessed with attempting to understand everything there is to understand that you get lost in the minutia. You see, you lose yourself, and instead of experiencing the beautiful life that you have been given, you become hyper focused. Yes. And we say that, well, if that's how you wish to live your life, fine. But we personally believe that when you are hyper focused, you are losing a lot of what is available to you. However, once again, since you are creating it, this may be what you need. It may be exactly what you are looking for in this lifetime.
I feel you're talking about me for sure because what I'm stuck with at this point is I know some civilizations live thousands of years, whereas ours, we are at this point tied to 100 years or so. So I am stuck in that concept, I think.
Well, if you look at your history, let us take religious history, for example. You will see that there are those who say to you, oh, well, people lived 900 years, people used to live 700 years, people used to live X. And then at other times in Earth's history, you will say, oh, a lifespan of 35 was, quite good. You were considered to be quite old already at 35 or 50. So you see, even this changes according to the culture, according to what the desires of any particular era may be. So you may feel that you're stuck at 100 years, but we say no, you are not. Once again, you have all of the time that you need. There are people on this earth right now that are 116, 120, 103, etc. So they are slowly breaking that barrier. This may or may not be to your benefit, depending upon other things that have been occurring on your planet and in the human race right now. We would say, yes, we would say, for example, that certain cultural ideals may represent a detriment to longevity, and others may give you additional longevity. But would that be good or bad for your planet, for humanity as a whole? And these are questions that you all will be answering and grappling with and dealing with for some time now. We wanted also to mention what is often called the shift. Yes, this was brought up many years ago when this one was first beginning to understand who we were and to speak for us. And we wish to reiterate that, again, this is arbitrary. Anytime you put numbers around something, this is arbitrary. There is no shift. You see, everything is shifting all the time. There is no such thing as the Iron Age. What has happened is that certain events that have taken place, those of you who are of that particular bent have put numbers on it. So from this year to that year, from this point to that point, you see, is a particular age. It is the Ice Age. But these things are all at once. Again, they are not separate and apart from everything else that is going on in the world, in humanity. They are simply arbitrary, like for right now, not all, but most cultures are using Greenwich Mean Time to determine how they view their clocks, how they tick off their durations, you see. But this has not always been the case. They have not always used Greenwich Mean Time. And in the future, in what you term the future, that will not be used again. There are many other ways of determining time. In some American Indian cultures, there are no words for things like noon or 4 o'clock. There's only later, yes, or before. And there's not a specific way to tick off these seconds as you have defined them. Does that help you at all?
Yes. So we created this concept so we could figure out there's no such thing.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. I mean, the concept itself we are searching for a good way to explain this because concepts exist out, they don't exist outside of yourself. You create the concepts. But again, we say that there are so many of you that are involved in the creation of a concept. And so we would not say, you, wise one, have created the concept of time. You have created the way you live in time. You have created the way you perceive time. You have created the way you move through time. But the pure concept of time, that pure concept was created in mass by so many of you who agreed to it. Do you understand at all?
Yes. Thank
Yes,
you very
okay.
much. I
You're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome. Any other questions? Do not be afraid to ask us. We sense there is more, but there is some
Go ahead, Jonna.
reluctance to bring it forward, please.
In conjunction with the us being a concept, are you saying, Eve, that the soul is a concept or this human life is a concept?
Your body is a concept. Yes. Soul, again, is a definition that has been defined by many over time. It is not something where, when I separate from my physical body, my soul will be different, will be no longer connected to humanity, and it will go to join all that is, or it will go to hell or heaven or whatever. We would say uh, perhaps the best way to define what you have all called soul is to say essence. The essence of you may be considered to be a soul, but a soul is not, again, something that is separate, that floats around, that leaves your body and goes to be one with the Creator, because you are already one with the Creator. You understand? You are already one with the Creator. Every part of you is one with all that is. And so you don't need to separate body and soul and say, my body will die and join the earth, but my soul will continue. No, because you are connected already. The portions of you that continue have always been and always will be. And again, it is just how you decide to define it, how you decide to put a label upon any part of your being. Does that help you?
It does. Thank you.
Yes. Another one?
Go ahead, Peter.
Eve, would I be correct in saying that, well, since there's no time, but saying your soul is like a SIM card? Once it's inserted in the phone, it'll activate, and without it, it will be just a phone?
No, no. Again, when you look at it that way, you are separating. You are creating a division. Here is the phone. Here is the SIM card. Here is my body. Here is my soul. They are already connected, always connected. There is never a separation, ever.
For those who believe in reincarnation, aren't they taking a soul from one body to another body?
We believe we have spoken of reincarnation before. Again, when you look at it in this way, you are looking at it durationally, yeah? You are looking at it linearly. You are saying you move from one body to another body to another body, but you do not. You see, all of your bodies are existing at once. Now, we understand how vast this is and how difficult this may be for those of you informed to understand. But we stress that we would like for you to attempt to do this. Now, reincarnation, as it is defined by so many of you, is moving from one body to another body. Some talk about transmigration of souls. We believe we covered this when we were speaking about karma, that you do not bring an event from one life to another life to fix it or whatever. But they all exist at once, and communication between you is not only possible, it is happening, it is ongoing. How much of it you pick up on depends upon what your goals are and what you wish to accomplish from this lifetime. But you do not move one particular portion of you, or you do not move your essence from one body to another body through time. That essence is in all of you all of the time. Does that answer your question?
Well, brings food for thought.
Well, this is good.
So a question around reincarnation, and I'm looking at Thoth, who lived a certain period of time, and Hermes Trismegistus, who lived a certain amount of time, and they were sharing the same concepts or the same personality. Yes.
And where is your question?
So are they the same? Are they the same person that lived different times?
Again, we must say to you, this time division, you see, this time division is something you have placed. Now, if these two consciousnesses were connected, then we could say yes, yes, definitely. But there will be thousands of others also that are part of their essence, that are part of their essence. It is, especially once you have passed on, it is particularly irrelevant who you have shared your life with. For example, if this one were, say, Joan of Arc in some lifetime, and Cleopatra in another lifetime, and some unknown beggar in another lifetime, what does that matter? What does it matter? It only matters in terms of when they were alive, were they communicating with each other? What were they communicating with each other? It doesn't have any effect on their afterlives. You see, they will continue to create. They will continue to be bonded by their essence. But just as most of us that you call oversouls or ghosts or spooks or whatever it is you call us, energy essences, I believe is one popular phrase. Many of us do not give you names for ourselves, or we only give you a name because you are in need of it to communicate with us. Because the name is not important. The life itself is not particularly important once you reach a certain point, once you begin to experience non-physical existence. So we would answer your question, yes, but so what?
Understood.
Yes. Is there more? We expect once this is uploaded, there may be questions coming in, which we will attempt to answer, and perhaps upload a second, video on those questions. But again, there are at least 1, 2, 3 of you here who have not posed any questions to us, and we would like to give you this last opportunity before we depart. No. Then we feel we have given you a huge amount of things to think about. And one moment, as we have said, there is more that we could speak about in regard to time. But the main, we don't want to give you too much at once, you see, because these concepts are quite large and require, if you wish to fully understand them, they will require a certain amount of energy from you. However, it's not necessary, you see, unless you just have this unquenchable thirst. You don't really need to understand any of this. You need merely to continue with your life as you are living it, and time will take care of itself because you will have all the time that you need. So with that, we will close. And we wish that you have a wonderful rest of the day and wish you a very good time.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was okay. I wasn't sure how I was going to do today because I'm feeling so yucky for not being able to shower.
No, that was perfect.
Okay.
All right. Let me stop the recording at this point.